This week in the Proving Grounds, 2 sides to every stonk.
3 if you count the truth.
Hot art sells.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yu-Gi-Oh! This community is toxic.
Yeah, don't be a shitbag.
This region belongs to Rakdos. Welcome to Magic Proving Grounds, the only Magic the Gathering podcast that proves bacon turkey is better than turkey bacon.
Bacon.
I'm your host, moderator Dave. And with me we have Ben.
Hey, everybody. Happy post-turkey day.
And also joining us is other Dave.
Yeah, I'm here. I think.
Are we all carbo loaded? We're like, we slept the comas off?
No, I'm still in a coma.
You might have noticed no podcast last week. We were a little under the weather.
I was a little under the weather, man. I was all like fevered and hallucinating.
Hey, I was like comatose on turkey.
Well, that's bacon grease. When you ate the turkey with the injected bacon grease, did you actually feel your heartbeat slow down?
There was a pain in my chest.
Could you physically feel your arteries clog while you were eating it? Like you were like, oh, I feel it.
If arteries clogging feels like chest pain, then yes.
Did your sweat smell like bacon grease?
It did. This is no lie. I don't usually have BO, but after eating this turkey, I had a little bit of a ripeness that resembled a little bit of greasy.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the meat sweats.
Yeah, meat sweats.
So, what else have y'all been doing this week?
Playing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, I've been hitting Arena hardcore, mostly because it's just easy to like brew standard stuff on Arena because it's like easier to find cards and just look at them. So,
have you finally given up on Overwatch 2?
No, I got the Cyber Demon level 200, and then now I'm done as of yesterday.
Until what, the next one comes out in 10 days?
Yeah, something like that. I might go clean up a couple of the other challenges I never got. Character specific ones and whatnot.
None of the character specific ones are very hard.
Yeah, I didn't kick anybody with Zenyatta, so should probably go do that.
With kick, like with the boot?
Yeah, he like sticks his leg out and boops him off the edge.
Oh,
it's a new thing for the character.
Cool.
Yeah. Dave's like, I'm so uninterested in this. His tone was everything.
Just want to feel included. So I didn't get a lot of Magic playing done last week because everybody at my house had the flu, which was why we didn't have a podcast last week. Yeah, did play a little bit. Got the gold with my new Explorer brew.
Nice.
I'm using air quotes on new because it's just my regular red aggro deck, but with Swiss Spears put in it now because they just came out. Right. So works good.
Yeah, came out on Arena finally.
Yeah, I was very stoked. I was. We were brewing.
Your deck got like 50% better.
Yeah, for real. We was brewing all the week that the Brothers War came out on that arms race.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there over the weekend going, wait a minute. Monastery Swiss Spear's out in Arena now.
And it's a common. And
yeah,
I can brew it for real cheap.
Yeah, it's uncommon. So I'm going to go ahead and make me some copies and put it in my Explorer.
Oh, that's right. It is uncommon in Brothers War.
Yeah.
It's not. It's common in double masters.
Yep.
But not. Okay.
So
it's pauper legal, but you still have to spend an uncommon wild card on Arena.
Yeah, well, depending on what you consider pauper on Arena.
You're right.
Did any of you jump into the Gladiator thing that they added on there?
Man, I was going to, but like I couldn't muster up the mental fortitude to put together a Gladiator deck, and I didn't want to do the blue-white one that we had put together. for the challenge. I want to do something new. So I was like, yeah.
So I jumped in with the deck that we had built.
Oh, you stomped our asses with, yeah.
And I won my first match like easy. And then like I hate that it was. Did you guys know it was best 2 out of 3?
No,
best of 3, yeah. So it's best of 3, yeah, and just the randomness of that format.
Yeah,
it was like I would win one, get mana screwed, get mana flooded, lose. I like lost 4 in a row, and I was like, this. It takes too long to lose in best of 3, especially in that gladiator format with like all the swings and changes of each match. And I was just like, all right, I guess I'm quitting with 1 win because this is kind of a nightmare.
It is very long-winded format.
There are better formats out there.
Yes, sorry, Bob. Well, I guess let's move on to news and get this podcast.
I also built a new standard deck.
Oh, cool.
Are you going to share this one with the audience this time around, or is this one of your secret tech brews?
So this is not really my brew. I had seen that people were playing Grixis, and I pretty much already had all of the cards because most of the cards from that deck were in the red-black deck that I've been playing, Sholdred, or all the rares, I should say.
Yeah.
Sholdred and, now I can't think of what all was in there, but pretty much everything.
The Evoke Despair deck?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, Invoke Despair, all that stuff is already in the deck that I've been playing. So I was like, okay, the only thing I don't have are the lands. So I can pretty much build this without using any wild cards. And then, if I like it, I probably using wild cards on dual lands is never a bad investment.
Right. You're going to use those for a couple of years.
Yeah. So I built that. I've been enjoying it somewhat, but it does feel like people are starting to build around it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
The deck to beat for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm playing a lot of people who are specifically oh yeah, well, this is best of 1. So I'm going to put my Invoke Despair counters main boarded.
Yep. I've even seen some tech. I forget the card, but it's like, hey, you can play this card. It's a creature. And also, it's the Spirited Companion. They're saying, hey, play the Spirited Companion because you get the value off it. And if they play Evoke Despair, that's a good target for you to sacrifice because it's an enchantment and a creature. So people are even making their decks with their creatures in mind to play around Invoke Despair.
Yeah. But it's okay so far. I mean, I want to say I played 5 or 6 matches with it, and I think I won 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, it's a good deck.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to keep playing it because the deck that I'm playing in Historic feels preferable, I guess. I don't know. I prefer the way that one goes after the hand rather than the board.
Yeah.
First, maybe I could retool it. Maybe I could add some Dreams of Blood and Metal, or was it whatever the
oil and blood or blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do really like that card, and it seems like it'll be pretty good in the meta too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that takes them from the hand and the graveyard, right?
Yeah, creature or artifact.
Yeah. That seems pretty value.
Yeah.
Was it 1 black or?
It is 1 black, yes.
Yeah. Definitely value. I think Standard's looking good right now.
Yeah, I want to try a few other things in Standard. I just, with the way wild cards are right now, I'm not going too crazy on it until I have a better idea how the meta is going to shake out, because I don't want to use a bunch of wild cards on something.
And that is unfortunate.
And
that is the worst feeling, yeah.
And not be able to play it because, that's just not where you want to be.
Yeah, and later on in the discussion section, I was going to talk about more kind of what I found in the brewing aspect of Brothers War. So stay tuned. You going to move on to news, Dave?
I was going to a long pause because you seem to be cutting everybody off when I try to move on.
Do not change the channel.
Too long, and it makes us keep talking.
Yeah. Okay, look. Let's go over some news.
Don't dial.
Kids today are like, what's a dial? I have no idea what a dial is. That soap that my dad uses? Because what else do we call a dial in society? Seriously.
I don't know, but
do we have things that rotate anymore?
The volume on my car stereo.
Yeah, that's about it, right?
There you go. See, it still makes sense then. Don't touch the dial. Like, don't turn it up or don't turn it down.
Yeah, even thermostats you just control with your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, technically mine does also have a dial, but yeah, don't think I've ever used it.
Yeah, mine's a push button, like up and down. It doesn't have a dial. Huh. Interesting.
Anyways, y'all done?
Yeah.
No, I need to interrupt you one more time.
Okay.
But it's going to be unexpected.
Anyways, so if you guys... listen... So if listeners remember from our last podcast where we talked about the Bank of America downgrading Hasbro's stock on account of how they handle Magic the Gathering, and that was like brand new, fresh news, like literally dropped the morning we recorded that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, Hipsters of the Coast kind of did a in-depth look into the report that Bank of America issued with that, and kind of uncovered that maybe their take on how Wizards is handling Magic the Gathering isn't exactly what we thought it was and what the community at large thought it was. And I just wanted to touch on that a little bit.
So what they're saying is there's some doubt to the validity of Bank of America's actual process that they evaluated, right? Is that the general? They're not saying it's false. They're just saying they question the methods that they use to evaluate.
Yeah, Bank of America said it was a deep dive into their business practices, and said deep dive included going to 2 targets to suss out how retailers are handling Magic stock.
That's a legitimate deep dive right there.
Yeah. Well, there's more to it than that, but it's like you visit 2 targets and that's all you did to see, like you couldn't find a Walmart to go to, or
to be fair though, that is the exact kind of deep dive that I would expect out of Bank of America. Well, we went to our local targets and they were just all over the shelf. So fuck them.
Yeah. And then the report didn't seem to account for Arena or the digital game aspects of the Magic the Gathering business either, which I personally think is a huge exclusion, considering that seems to be at least half of WotC's business plans for the future.
My guess is that is the future of Magic. I would guess in the next decade we phase out physical cards.
That would make me so sad. That would make me very sad. I do have a question about the target before we move on.
So let me clarify that statement. Not to say that the physical cards will not exist, but that you will never see tournament play of physical cards.
Okay. I believe that. I will
like
get on
Wizard
that.
Sponsored tournaments, like big DreamHack kind of stuff.
Will all be exclusively on either Arena or MTGO.
Gotcha. But you'll still have your local paper tournaments.
I'm hoping in the next decade they just phase out MTGO, honestly.
I hope they just make it like Arena and not like the wild card situation. They just make the, spruce it up a bit.
Bring over the Arena UI and
but not the market, not the store. Keep the market.
What's the word that I'm looking for? Quality of life improvements.
Yes.
So
about the Target issue or whatever. So they're saying that Bank of America went to Target and sussed out, since it had old product like Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow, that means that they're not moving enough product through there. Like, what is, like, my question is, do they know? I don't know. Do they know what percentage of Magic cards are sold at big box retailers? Like, I would assume the majority of their business is not there, right? Or
I
is
would
it?
assume not.
I mean, I don't know, but I do know that every time that I go to Walmart, they are completely fucking sold out.
Yeah, that's my experience with Walmart. I don't know what these two targets, but
Yeah.
Either way, like what percentage of the business? Because if you're saying that there's a ton of product that's old in this store, that's not just that on its face is not indicative of anything.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, that's indicative of the fact that Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow weren't very good sets, not that Magic as a whole is in trouble.
Yeah. It just means
I don't know.
Big box retailers have a lot of stock.
Hey, maybe they also went to a GameStop and saw that they had some too.
They did. According to the hipsters article, the only retail stores they visited were those two Targets I had mentioned. So, you know, not going to GameStop, not going to Walmart. Those are big players in the retail market for games and stuff. So, seems odd.
Yeah, and they do talk about the fluctuations of the collector booster box prices based on its initial value, and that's a trend they can monitor, I guess. Talking about like when Kamigawa came out, it was $220 for a box, and now it sells for $206 for the booster box or collector's boosters box. So like that's a market that you can see that, but like the price hike for the months after that went up to $280, like that just shows that the demand like increased because of their, there was the neon ink foils in Kamigawa. And then after people got the neon ink that they wanted, then it declined. Then that seems like a natural ebb and flow of business, right? Once demand's met, the product decreases. That doesn't mean it's a failure. That just means that they made a shit ton of money for a little bit of time and then it decreased. I mean, I don't know what that translates into, like long-term marketability or long-term sustaining of a company, but I don't know. Like,
I guess for me, after reading this article, I'm less concerned about the long-term well-being of the game. Obviously they're putting out a lot of product and sometimes it's frustrating. We talk about that a lot, actually.
I'm concerned for the long-term viability of my wallet.
Yeah. And that doesn't change the fact that I still feel like I'm being like the FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Like when I can't afford all these products, I become less interested in some of them just by natural. That still absolutely exists, But like Wizard's stance in that is, if you don't like the product, sometimes it's not for you, But
well, I mean, I kind of agree with that, but I also an industry where that FOMO is very much a thing there too in comic books. It's very much like, oh, you got to get this 1 in 50 incentive now, or later it's going to be hundreds of dollars.
Right.
And you're not going to be, you got to get it now. Everything is about creating an environment where people feel like they need to buy a product now.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, just for example, just like that, Amazon has Black Friday deal for a box of Dominaria United for $80. If there's a Shieldred in there, that's a $65 card, and I need Shieldreds, so I don't want to buy them. So maybe I buy a box, and maybe get it plus some other cards that I need from the set. So like,
could be anything in that box, even the thing I need.
I know.
This has been,
so that feeling is still there, right? I mean, but that's again a FOMO feeling.
I think this has been the worst Black Friday in terms of deals that I have experienced in a long time. Like I spent less money this Black Friday than any Black Friday in the past.
Do you know what I noticed? What? Black Friday deals were the same as Cyber Monday deals. Same deals.
Yeah. Well, that happened a lot last year too.
Oh, did it? I didn't pay attention last year.
It's kind of just become like the weekend of sales.
Right.
But like, this year there just weren't that many great sales. Like,
yeah, I didn't notice any really good ones except that box of Dominaria United for $80.
Yeah. Like I think I bought one video game maybe, and usually I end up buying like 10.
Yeah. That's what I usually spend my Black Friday money on.
And in the past, it's always been when we bought a TV, and I don't think any TV that we were interested in was on sale.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's been a pretty disappointing Black Friday.
I suspect that this is going to be the trend going forth.
I also noticed one of the websites that I frequent, they had a 50% off sale, but all of their prices mysteriously went up 33%. Right
So you're really only getting a couple points off. Yeah.
I mean, it's still $5 off, which is not a terrible deal on things that are usually like 15.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, oh, it was 15 and then it went up to 20, but now it's 50% off. So you get it for 10. I'm like, okay, $5 off is still $5 off, but it's not the deal they're making it out.
That's some shisty, shady shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, this Bank of America thing, like it did legitimately affect Hasbro's stock.
Yeah, because they downgraded it from buy to underperforming. I mean,
is this what we call like what is it called? Antitrust stuff? Like
no.
It's not antitrust, but like if they were like, hey, we're going to sell and then buy them back later, and they make this report, you know what I mean? Like you could do some shady shit unintentionally with that. I'm not saying they're doing that, but like, I don't know. It seems like weird for them. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things where we'll never know the true answer for, because like, I don't know. Like I don't know what their intentions were, but I'm not saying it's bad, but
as I said earlier, as someone who used to sell credit cards for Bank of America, them doing shady shit is the least surprising thing that I have heard.
Okay, here's my tinfoil hat conspiracy. So put your tinfoils on and gather around and tell you my theory. Do y'all remember it was like towards the beginning of this year, the Reddit thing that was going around where the hedge fund was trying to get Hasbro to spin off Wizards
to be
its own company.
Yeah.
And it was like a bunch of finance bros and some Magic personalities trying to work together with the hedge fund to get WotC spun out of Hasbro. I wonder if they made some phone calls to their buddies there in Bank of America and been like, hey, would you make Wizards look less appealing to Hasbro so that we can keep pushing this plan?
I mean,
that would also not surprise me.
Yeah.
We're not saying it's what it is, but if it comes out that way, I
wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, yeah. Tinfoil hats, not alleging anything.
But regardless of anything, the main point for me is that I think that they need to be careful about overly printing stuff. I think that they should take caution, because if like no matter what Bank of America did, the hearts and minds of the people is you're making too much product.
Yeah.
So like they need to watch that, because the hearts and minds of people is what's going to sink or float their company.
Milk those whales, baby. Get that fat off of them. Make some candles.
Like, I don't care about the Magic 30 proxies, because like that is something that does not affect me at all. But like printing ad nauseum sets and like that kind of stuff is what affects me as a consumer in my buying habits and the game as a whole, because like the proxies aren't going to affect the game as a whole. So
those are collector's pieces, and the only thing I'm going to say one more. Well, we'll touch on that later, since that kind of dovetails into something we're talking about later on in the podcast. But I think that generally people are becoming very fatigued of the amount of products that are coming out, and that can't be a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, what was it with the Yu-Gi-Oh streamer that got heckled by the Magic person?
Yeah.
The Magic community? Because the Yu-Gi-Oh streamer was looking at Magic 30 stuff.
Because Magic players don't know how to not be toxic and spew toxic shit everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like, Okay, well, guess we'll go into that now. So there was a Yu-Gi-Oh streamer who was contacted by Wizards of the Coast and offered a couple boxes of the Magic 30 product to open on their stream.
Couple boxes? That's $2,000 worth of product.
Look, this is third-hand information. I'm a couple of boxes. It might have been a box, but it was definitely
right. Anyway, yeah. Point.
Packs.
Yeah, I was just
multiple. Yeah, it's.
I want to be an influencer.
You are an influencer.
Yeah, you just don't have a lot of influence right now. Anyways, so the streamer was offered product to open on stream as like a sponsored video. So they made the video, they put it out, and then almost immediately the toxic part of the Magic the Gathering community oozed out of the woodwork and just started bombarding this individual's videos with not very nice comments about how this product was crap and about how they didn't understand why WotC gave, this person this product when they're not even a Magic streamer, blah, 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 basic toxic nonsense. It got so bad that the person took down the video, made an apology video, and was flat out like never doing Magic content again. And that's a shame. Why?
It's the exact opposite effect that Wizards hope for. They probably hope to get some Yu-Gi-Oh people into Magic. But if their Yu-Gi-Oh streamer that they watch and pay attention to says, I'm never going to do Magic again, you better believe that they're not going to do Magic, Yeah,
well, their first interaction with our community was a bunch of toxic butt wipes.
Who were probably just salty because they can't get their hands on those proxies because it's cost prohibitive to them. It's probably the main reason.
Also, keep in mind, a lot of people's first experiences with our community is a lot of toxic bullshit.
That's true.
Which is a shame.
Why can't we just all be happy and accepting like Post Malone?
Yeah.
He seems like a pretty chill dude, Yeah, why can't we all just be chill like that?
Can we just be chill like Post? Okay, this is a tangent, but I gotta tell the story. Do you see the video of Post? He's like standing with a bunch of fans, right? Signing autographs, and some guy goes, "Hey, Post," and he's like, "What?" He's like, and then I don't know what the guy said, but he's like, "You're stupid," or "You're an asshole." And the Post just looks at him like Post died inside, and he's all like, "Why would you say that?"
Like the Sound of Silence just plays.
Yeah,
it's my old friend, and he's like sad.
Yeah, and he's like, "Why would you say that?" It was the most wholesome thing, like reaction to somebody being a fucking asshole.
He's like, I really don't understand why you hating on me.
Exactly. So, it's a shame. And the thing that I don't like, nothing is an excuse for treating somebody the way this streamer got treated.
No, if you don't like Hasbro, bitch at Hasbro. Don't
No.
attack a person.
But the thing that I don't get about the M30 strategy, the 30th edition strategy that Wizard seems to be doing is like initially trying to sell it as a nostalgia thing, right? And then they're going and overpricing it so people who aren't rich can't experience the nostalgia. And then also they're giving it to people outside of the community where that nostalgia isn't a thing. And it's just weird. And
that is odd.
I don't know what Wizards' strategy with this 30th edition is, because in my mind, it's collector's pieces for collectors, and it should have been marketed that way.
Yeah.
And they seem to be marketing it every other way but that.
Well, and if you look at the cards, they have a rotted text on them. They don't even have the original text. So how collector is that? Black Lotus should say, add 3 mana of any one color and discard. Or whatever the original wording is. It shouldn't just be sacrifice this artifact, add 3 mana of any color. It should say if this was really truly a nostalgic celebration of Magic's 30 years of existence, they would go ahead and they're not tournament legal anyway, so just print the original text on them. I think that the messaging behind this and their intent, I don't know. This seems like a half-baked scheme that somebody greenlit without actually thinking of the impact. And it shows by the ire of the community, and like this poor streamer got attacked because of it, you know? Like, what's
like,
going on here?
Y'all need to handle yourselves better out there, people.
So let me ask you guys this too, because I this is something I always wonder. Would you trust that the contents of any package that Wizards sends out for promotional videos are not like tailor-made to make people interested?
I do not trust that they would. I think that they are likely to stack the deck.
Yeah.
Because if this streamer they're sending these packs out to opens a Black Lotus, then you're more likely to go out and buy one, right? Feel like, oh, that guy got a Black Lotus. That's possible, you know. Like, so I don't put it past them.
Yeah, because that's every time I see this. That's the first thought that I have is, oh yeah, these packs are rigged.
Yeah,
like they made these packs so that people would want to buy the product.
I do know there was some speculation about that on the Twitter space, but you know how Twitter is, so I don't know how legitimate it is. But.
I don't know how Twitter is. I'm not on it, unlike you, Elon Musk loving nerds.
Take that back.
Take what back? You're on Twitter.
Rage quit.
I did not say anything that was untrue.
I don't love Elon Musk.
I see, your actions speak louder than your words.
Methinks you doth protest too much.
Okay, so we do have a little piece of news though that does have great actual nostalgia for old Magic.
Real quick before we move on, though, I want to tell everyone in the Magic community: stop being toxic dickheads.
Yes,
let people in. Let people. You don't need to be mad at every person who is new to Magic or plays Yu-Gi-Oh sometimes and wants to check out Magic. Let people do what they love. Don't shit on someone for doing things. Just let the guy make money. He was just trying to make some money. Yeah. Let him do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to be mad at every person. You don't have to be mad at anyone
because they didn't give you packs of cards to open.
Just bringing new people into the community is the only way this community survives. Yep. Yeah. So pushing people out isn't going to help in the long run because eventually everyone ages out of playing Magic.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
I mean, well, you say that, but also you had like a decade where you didn't play.
That's true. That's true.
The point I was trying to make is eventually everybody gets old and dies.
Oh yeah, if ages out means dying, sure.
Yes,
guaranteed.
Like just be more inclusive. Don't
say, hey, those Magic 30 cards, you can't play those, but if you come over here, I'll show you some cards you can play.
Yeah, you don't.
Let's play a game together. You know, like what
exactly?
Because I'm not even just in terms of this video, just in general. Don't be a toxic dickhead. Be more inclusive. Let people play Magic the way they want to play it.
Yeah. You got an extra deck, let somebody borrow it. Teach them how to play it.
You don't have to shit on everything unless it's Pioneer.
All right, I'll let that one slide. All right, so now some actual good nostalgia. If Wizards could just capitalize on this little piece and figure out how to market something. I don't know. What's the piece, moderator Dave?
It's the original painting of the famous Alpha Black Lotus done by Christopher Rush. May he rest in peace.
The one, the only. Yes.
Yes. Just recently sold for $4 million.
Yeesh.
That is a lot of money.
Do you think that Wizards will make $4 million on the 30th anniversary proxies?
How many packs is that? I mean,
it's $1,000 for 4.
So they'd have to sell 4,000.
Yeah,
4,000 doesn't seem that hard to sell.
4,000, really? Is that all? Because that would only be.
Well, what's the They said it was limited print runs.
4,000 boxes, so times 4.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was. Yeah, I was basing it on the box, not the pack.
Got it. That was where I was missing. I was like, that sounds really low. So it's 4,000 times, so 16,000 packs. I don't know that they'll sell 16,000 packs.
I see 4,000 boxes does not seem that unreasonable to me, actually, based on the amount of people I've seen that actually want to buy it. Because I know largely the community at large is people who do not want to buy it, but I have seen enough people saying
the whale,
that they are going to buy multiple copies of it. I don't think it's a stretch for them to sell 4,000 copies.
Okay,
the question is whether or not they made 4,000 of the boxes.
Right. Well, the follow-up question: which one is worth more? $4 million or 4 million worth of proxy cards, or that painting?
Oh, well, definitely
that painting, obviously, because that's an original art piece from someone who is no longer with us.
Out of curiosity, who sold the painting?
It was a outlet called MTG Original Artwork, I guess.
So it was not
Vintage MTG via @Vintage MTG.
Okay, so it was sold via them. Is it like the family of Christopher Rush who sold it, or did someone else own it? Did Magic own it? Did Wizards own it? Oh, that's what I'm wondering. Is who got the 4 million?
Oh, I see.
I don't know if there's information on that particularly.
It was sold at the Magic 30 event in Vegas. Yep. So I don't know. It doesn't say who owned it first. Like, the broker was Vintage Magic LLC, but that doesn't mean they owned it. That just means they facilitated it. They could have owned it. I don't know. Yeah, that's really nice, though. I think that's cool. Oh, they even let a whole bunch of people take pictures with it at the event before they sold it. That's cool.
I don't know if I'd let that many people touch it, but that's just me.
If I was the 4 million guy handing over 4 million.
I think that there's probably no other piece of Magic art that sells for more than this painting, because it's just such an iconic card from an iconic artist.
Well, that Instagram post by them says that the one that was most before was Demonic Tutor, and that was it's not coming up. Oh, it was what, 168,000?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is way over that. Do you think a Black Lotus will ever sell for 4 million? Like the actual card?
No. I don't think so.
I mean, what's the highest sale? Like the graded
500,000, I think.
Yeah, it is. Be interesting.
I mean, I guess if you're years down the road,
20, 30 years,
all things considered, but at that point, the price of this particular piece of art is going to be astronomically more.
All right. There's one of these.
Yeah, it's just the one. How many more years do you think it'll take to get this Christopher Rush Black Lotus painting hanging in the Louvre next to the Mona Lisa?
Oh, well, if Wizards doesn't run this into the ground, it's all hinging on that, right?
Yeah, probably. Because
Bank of America was right.
Oh no,
the one time. Because most of the value of this is its relation to Magic,
the game,
although it is a very lovely piece.
Maybe they'll make a museum for this kind of
museum
nerd
of
stuff.
Gaming art.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
That actually would be sick as fuck.
Yeah, if I own this print or the painting, I would be okay, you guys can put this in your museum.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
It belongs in a museum.
If you owned a $4 million painting, you would let them put it in a museum.
Yeah, they'd probably pay me for it too.
Yeah, see, that's not what you said though.
Well, I'm not saying I'd be like, you can display this for a little bit every month.
There you go.
In your exhibit.
So if I owned a $4 million painting, I'd probably sell it.
Yeah,
that's for real.
Yeah.
In order to keep a $4 million painting, I would have to at least have multiple other millions more than this, right?
In order just to hang on to $1 million painting, I have to have at least 2 other $1 million paintings to sell.
Right.
But I imagine if I did own a $4 million painting, I actually might want it put in the Louvre just because they could probably protect it better than I could.
That's true.
What I was going to say.
That's true.
It's not staying in my house.
Yeah.
They got that climate control and all that.
Anyways, so there were a couple of tournaments that happened while we were on break. You guys want to talk about them?
One specifically large one, the U.S. Regionals, right?
DreamHack U.S. Regionals happened in Atlanta.
So that seemed pretty big.
Eli Loveman won with their Rakdos mid-range deck.
And who did they play in the finals? It was Phoenix deck.
Ken Takahama.
There you go.
With their, is it Phoenix deck?
Congratulations. On your Pro Tour berth there, Eli.
Ken actually won invites to Worlds, the Pro Tour, and regional championship as well. So,
okay, yeah, top 2.
That's
or top
next.
4.
Okay, let's see. The top 2 won invites to Worlds, the Pro Tour, and the next regional, and then the top 3 through 48th rather.
Yeah.
Won invites to the Pro Tour and the regional championship. Next one. So not a bad prize, not even counting the monies, which
right.
30,000 for the first place, 15,000 for the second. Pretty good take.
Yeah, that is a pretty good take.
Those were the winners there. There was some other drama come out of that event, if I understand correctly.
Some drama memes.
How's your collected companies there, Ben, and your Pioneer deck? Nice and straight.
Well, I don't actually own any of them, but I get what you're going at. They are not curled or bent.
I just assumed you had a collected company deck.
No,
because you have every other Pioneer staple.
No, I do not.
Oof.
Unfortunately.
Anyways, so we had somebody get disqualified from the regional for having very curly Q collected companies, and an attempt was made by this individual to go to Twitter and claim that they didn't cheat and that they had just gotten the secret layer version, and that
secret layers for Pringled.
They got me at first too, because I was like, man, really, they're going to ban them for using, alternate art? Like, that's disqualified. I was like, man, that's kind of ridiculous. And then, because when I first saw it, that was my first reaction. And then as more information started coming out, and people were like, they were super Pringled. It was very obvious that where the collected companies were. It was like, oh, yeah, no, you're a cheating ass motherfucker.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not know? And on top of that, regardless of whether it was intentional or not, you should be disqualified.
Yes.
Like, a marked card's a marked card, whether you intentionally marked it or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I feel about it. Like,
yeah, and
you can't justify it by saying, "Well, they sold it to me this way." Like,
you,
I don't know.
You can't. But an attempt was made to do that. For those wondering, there is a procedure that you go through at tournaments like this. If you feel like you have a card in your deck that could be considered marked, where you take your deck to a judge and you say, "Hey, judge, I feel like I may have cards that might appear to be marked. Can you help me out with this? What do you think?" And if they come to the conclusion that, this can be construed as a marked card, they will facilitate a proxy for you to use. And then that way you can continue on your tournament without, getting the ire of the judges for potentially cheating. So this person should have known that.
Yeah.
And I think there might have been a tweet saying that they should have done that.
Yes.
Once
To be
the
fair,
info came out,
they did. This person did say that it was their fault and they should have went to the judge.
Yeah.
Be fair.
Yeah. So that's the procedure that you should go to when you feel like you might have a card that could be construed as marked. My question is, should Wizards be more cognitive of their secret layer cards as it seems to be giving people a plausible deniability aspect for trying to pull shit like this.
I mean, they can claim plausible deniability, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to work. Two, I mean, I believe that they should not sell Pringled cards like they do. I mean,
correct me if I'm wrong. A couple of years back, didn't someone get disqualified because they had lands that had custom artwork on them, and it wasn't even really like custom. It was like they were signed by the artist. I think they were signed by the artist who had done the original artwork, and they were like, you're not allowed to have custom.
I don't know, because I literally watched the NRG series yesterday, and somebody playing there had signed card in their hammer deck. So
maybe I'm mistaken, but I feel like somebody got in trouble for either maybe it was a full-on custom card and not signed.
I mean, it could have happened. It just probably depends on who's being what, like what judge is doing. Because I mean, you could call that a marked card, I guess. But my idea of a marked card is like when it's flipped over, you can tell what card it is.
Oh no, I remember what it was now. Okay, it was a bigger issue, not because of the artwork, but because of what the artwork represented. It was someone defaced Therese Nielsen artwork because Therese Nielsen was a public anti-trans person.
I see.
And they put some pro-trans stuff over top of the Therese Nielsen artwork, and they were asked to remove them or be disqualified.
I don't know.
It
seems like an awesome thing to do to me.
Yeah. Because then I remember Magic put out a statement, which I found artistic modifications are acceptable in sanctioned tournaments, provided the modifications do not make the card art unrecognizable, contain substantial strategic advice, or contain offensive images.
That makes sense. That ruling makes sense. I don't know what the card looked like that was in question, but yeah.
I don't remember what the card looked like. It happened in 2019. It was Autumn Burchett.
And that's unfortunate, that person got disqualified, I guess. I don't know.
They did not get disqualified. They replaced the cards.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. They were basically told to replace the cards or get disqualified, and they replaced the cards. I misspoke earlier. Basically she had to remove a few of them that obstructed the name of the card. So
okay. I guess that technically makes sense.
Yeah. The normal procedure for having a marked card, from what I'm understanding from this article, is that if it's a marked card, they might give them a match loss and then fix the problem. And disqualification happens if it's intentionally marked, or what?
I did see some people say that they were surprised that the person
went straight to disqualification.
That they went straight to disqualification. They weren't just told to replace the cards. So even in Autumn Burchett's case, she was told to replace the cards or get disqualified, and she was given a full day to replace the cards. She did not have to replace them until day 2 of the tournament.
I see.
Now, granted, that is not Pringled cards that are clearly an advantage. That's a whole different situation. But I'm surprised he was not given the option to replace the cards first.
How far was it before they realized? How many matches? Like, was he 7-0 at that point?
I think that there was other evidence that we probably aren't privy to.
Yeah,
that would suggest that it was very much on purpose. And
based on the reaction I've seen from people who were there, they pretty much said that it was on purpose. Like the guy, it was pretty obvious that he was playing in a way where he knew what those cards were.
And maybe let me frame it like this, I guess, because I don't know about this guy's integrity, but maybe it was like not intentional, but like convenient, like ignorance, Yeah, he didn't bend the cards up and then put them in his deck, but he's like, this is kind of convenient that this is like this.
So I think this is this is one of the situations though where you can't judge intent. You have to judge
Right. 100%.
Like you can't sit there and say, okay, well, what do we think he intended? You have to say this was clearly a marked card. You know, this is what we do in the case of marked cards.
Well, yeah, because if he made it through 7 rounds or whatever, and then they were like, well, now you got a done. He walks away with money, you know, like you have to change it now, and then he loses every game after that. Then he walks away with money, and he shouldn't be walking away with money if those first 7 games were, you know, won on the back of a bent up collected company, you know. Because this is the collected company, like the deck is built around this card. It's not like it's not a spirited companion that is just a filler card to, you know, get you a card on turn 2. Like this is the deck works around this card. So, yeah,
exactly. So, moving on, assuming no one else has anything to add to this particular.
I just wanted to point out, like yesterday, I was watching the NRG Chicago, and last podcast, I was giving a lot of hell, or maybe it was the time before, but on the burn deck, the modern burn deck. And I was like, why is this even a thing? Like, it's blah, blah, blah. And like, it just frustrated me. Yeah. Well, apparently it's actually a really good deck because it did win first place at the modern NRG regional qualifier yesterday. So
you didn't let anyone add anything when Dave asked if people wanted to add.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You just steamrolled right over it.
I'm sorry. Did you want to add something?
Bacon grease.
Usually it's a resounding no. Every single time it's a resounding no. We don't need to add anything. And then now you got to grease that thing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the modern
bacon grease to everything. Hashtag.
Yeah.
Now that's how you mark a card.
Yeah. So burn took the place. There wasn't too many burn decks. It was the only burn deck in the top 16, I think. But it took first place. There's a lot of Rakdos Scam and a lot of Azorius Hammer. Yeah, that burn deck. Congratulations to Adam Weiss, winner of the NRG Chicago with Boros Burn, which I think is the same it's the same deck that was out years and years ago. Like it literally has no new cards.
That's the same one that we've been piloting.
Yeah.
Like last week before last, when we were doing our modern stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think the newest card is Skewer the Critics.
Yeah.
Maybe Lava Dart. Hold on.
Skewer the Critics.
No, Lava Dart's not even in this deck.
Skewer the Critics is newer than Lava Dart anyway.
Is it?
Isn't it?
I thought Lava Dart was a modern Horizons.
I thought that was a reprint, but I could be mistaken.
It could be a reprint. Judgment. Yeah, it was from Judgment originally. So it was new to modern. Because
I felt like Lava Dart had been around for a long time, but
yeah.
So there was a Pioneer event running alongside that modern event.
Yeah, it was the day. It was the day before. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. What's Pioneer again?
Well, they get in the covered wagons,
and you walk west until you can't walk no more,
and pray you don't get dysentery.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations for doing the Pioneer.
There was a modern or Pioneer 10K the day before, and first place goes to Azorius Spirits, piloted by Sean Ryder. It's kind of a newish deck. I mean, the Spirits deck's been around, but some of the inclusion of the white in the deck is a little newer, which is really nice to see. Is it Phoenix being second there?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting enough, the mono green devotion deck that everybody says is a big problem. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th and 6th place.
Well, as our Pioneer expert, is it a problem?
Yeah, it's a problem, but it's not unbeatable. It's just, it's too powerful. I think something needs banned from that deck personally, but
is it Karn? I bet it's Karn.
It's probably Karn.
Which Karn are you talking? Karn Liberated?
The Great Creator.
Okay.
Why that pulls from the sideboard?
Why does he need banned? What does he pull from the sideboard?
Everything.
Like literally anything that you might need.
So
got it.
The problem with the mono green devotion deck is that it's a tough deck to beat on its own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Its game A plan is like beat you in the face with high powered creatures they get out sooner than they should due to the ramp.
Okay.
But the B plan is using Karn to go infinite in a combo, or to just grab any answer that might be messing you up. Things that destroy your permanents, things that exile your stuff.
So is the main deck good enough that the sideboard is just shit for Karn to grab?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's literally all it is. So the idea with the mono green is that you have like the Chain Veil in there, so you can activate Karn and Kiora twice. You have the Pestilent Cauldron combo that makes you gain basically infinite life, which then you mill them for the amount equal to the life that you gain that turn, which basically kills their deck. Like you win on the spot, basically. And that's just plan B. That doesn't happen as often. Plan A is beat them in the face and use Karn to get hate pieces from the sideboard. So if you didn't have like the main problem of the deck is that it is so singularly focused on beating you down with no interaction to the other side that Karn enables you to have this really efficient beatdown plan and then basically cherry pick your hate pieces as you need them instead of including them in your 60 card deck. That's the problem.
One of the first games I played against Ben with this Green Devotion deck was against his Lotus Field deck, and then you just drop Karn, pop a Dampening Sphere out of the sideboard, lay it down, and then his deck is worthless. And it's like, okay, it's just got answers to everything you might have a problem with, and it's very utility that way.
Yeah, because Damping Sphere shuts off Lotus Field. So and you pull that out as you need it. Oh, okay, I'm playing this deck. Let me go get the one thing that stops their deck.
But have they put Stone Brain in the sideboard?
They're not running it yet. If they do, I don't know, because Karn Silex didn't even really take off. So I don't know if they need it. It's more like a win more kind of thing, right? And the big problem with Pioneer is that it's so play draw dependent that if Rakdos midrange is so popular because it's like the only deck in the format that you can win on the play or on the draw. So every other deck is pretty much like if you get on the play, you're winning.
It sounds like such a fun format.
Yeah, it needs some work. I believe in it. I just think it needs some work.
The sad thing is, as much as I shit on it, I really do want it to be a success.
Yeah, me too.
I think it is good for the game of Magic to have something more modern than modern.
Yeah.
More approachable than modern.
Like because modern's power level was just so absurd.
Yeah.
And it's so expensive to buy into. It would be nice to have something that uses more recent cards, that doesn't have realistically the biggest, like the thing that makes me happiest about it is that there's no fetches. And I know that's the thing that actually turns most people off from it. But I think like Mark Rosewater, that fetches are the biggest mistake that Magic has ever made.
Yeah. I mean, like without fetches, modern is like not really as big as it is, right? To me, I look at modern as like, I'm going to do some crazy wild shit in Magic, and that's why I'm playing this. If I want to play like real Magic, like I hate this term, but boots on the ground, like real get in the trenches, dig up, I'm going to play Pioneer because that's what that format is. It's more combat focused, not so wild combos. So, and that's all modern is free spells and combos.
Yeah,
it's in some ways it's worse than Legacy, man. Like I'm dead serious.
I don't know about that. That's
well, Legacy is just Force of Wills and Dazes all day long.
Yeah,
days for days.
It's hard to watch Legacy even.
Yeah, but anyway, that's Magic in a nutshell. From my
just
view.
Wait until the sticker brew deck gets really big in Legacy.
Dude, just troll, dude, man. Just troll all day long. That's it. Just troll with that stuff. Make Mark Rosewater say the biggest mistake in Magic was stickers.
Making stickers black border was the biggest mistake in Magic.
Right.
Yeah. Just next time there's a team event where it's Pioneer Modern Legacy or whatever.
Yeah.
Throw together a Legacy sticker deck and I'll pilot it, and you guys can do the Modern and the Pioneer one, and we'll just
if you get a couple rage quits, then we win the tournament, right?
I want them to make a foldable dodecahedron card.
Yeah.
That you fold into a 20-sided die and you roll it to see what card you get.
There you go. It's coming. You wait.
I think realistically, how hard do you think it would be to make a 4-sided die card?
Like a card that's shaped like a pyramid?
Yeah. You know, like if they had a card and then you rolled a 4-sided die to see, or like you would fold it into a pyramid after you cast it and then roll it.
How about you lay it out and then you have to pay mana, and level it up and fold a side up each time you pay a mana activation?
Yeah.
Or you meet, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, fold the card. That'd be crazy. Here we go.
Yes,
we're developing the next unset.
Mm-hmm.
And these will be black border cards too.
Well, of course. So, speaking of brews.
Yes.
So you've been working quite a bit on brewing standard.
Yeah, brothers were really got me thinking about standard and how much I love artifact-based sets and such. So what better impact on a format than standard? So I'm getting really into standard because of this new set. It's pretty interesting. I'm really liking the Brothers War. Do you want to tell them how our arms race brew went?
Yeah. It didn't. It did. We worked 3 days on it? It was day one, we're like, okay, let's see if we can make this work in Modern. And we're like, okay.
We quickly said, no, this isn't going to be powerful enough.
By the end of day one, we're like, yeah,
we're assembling a Pioneer deck. Yeah.
And then we put together a Pioneer one, and then we played it. And then we're like, yeah, this isn't really good either, because we were doing the Arms Race Brew against Mono Green Devotion.
As one should.
Yeah. And then just did not come out. It was not fun to play. 2, it didn't do the thing.
Yep.
And it was very slow. So we kind of were like, I guess it's not a Pioneer thing either.
Arms Race lets you put artifact into the play from your hand for paying 4 mana, right? Is it artifact or creature? Or is it just artifact?
Artifact.
Yeah, it's just artifact. So that's kind of a restriction. And it's just too slow. I think we didn't try it in standard, but basically when I was thinking about how to do Arms Race, I'm like, okay, I want to get Portal to Phyrexia in play. But then I got to thinking about it, and there was already an existing Reanimator shell that used Invoke Justice to get Titan of Industry in play. So Invoke Justice says creature or artifact. So why not? Well, it's a couple other things, but why not just do it there, right? And that seemed way more effective than ever touching the Arms Race card. And it is way more effective. It's actually a pretty good deck. So the idea is that you reanimate it with Repair and Recharge, which is a Brothers War card, or Invoke Justice. So Invoke Justice can also target the Titan of Industry or the Phyrexian Portal, which you want to get the Phyrexian Portal out because it makes them opponent sack 3 creatures, and then you get to pull creatures back from the graveyard every turn. So it's very, very valuable to do such a thing. And Arms Race is inherently worse because you have to sacrifice the thing you put into play at the end of turn. So...
Yeah. So Invoke Justice, it pulls from the graveyard?
Yes.
Okay. So
the theory of the play pattern of the deck is you use cards to dump your hand into the graveyard. Okay. Restoration of a Gonjo and Fable of the Mirror Breaker are 2 of the cards. It's Boros. And then you pull them back out with Invoke Justice or Repair and Recharge.
Nice.
Turn 5, essentially, which is what you would be doing. It's turn 5 or 4 if you get Restoration of it, it'd be turn 5, which is the same as Arms Race, except it stays out permanently and doesn't go away. So I just think Arms Race is too costly and too slow. That was my evaluation after the testing. It seems interesting at first, but not so much.
Yeah.
The problem is you kind of want to play it and use it on the same turn, and that's 8 mana.
Yeah. It's really hard to get there.
Actually, it does give me an idea.
Oh, yeah? Are you going to figure out arms race?
I don't think it's going to work in modern still.
Yeah, definitely not.
Well,
they already have Underworld Breach, so like, why wouldn't you just do that?
Yeah.
There are some restrictions to Underworld Breach.
What if you were using Fires of Invention?
That is a...
What does that card do?
That's from Midnight Hunt, or what's that set from?
It's before Midnight Hunt.
That would be Pioneer, right?
Yeah. Fires of Invention says each turn you can cast, I believe it's 2 spells from your hand with converted mana costs less than or equal to the amount of lands you control.
Mm-hmm.
And so you
use that to get Portal out?
So you could use that to play Arms Race for free.
Oh, and then use
have
your
mana open to activate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a deck in Pioneer that is cropping up that's using Fires of Invention, as you were describing, but they are not using Arms Race. Maybe it's something to think about. Because you could drop Arms Race for free and then activate it with the mana that you're not using to cast the spells. Well, yeah, and you can cast from your hand 2 spells for free and then Arms Race something in every single turn with your mana.
Yeah.
That might be an interesting angle to look at. I'll have to look at that deck and see if I can
smell a Explorer Brew Challenge, maybe?
Maybe. My next point is I don't have any more wild cards left. I also did a brew with the help of one of the people that watches the stream. Shout out to Red Stride. But with the Third Path Iconoclast. It seems I like the Boros Reanimator deck better than this one. And my thoughts on Third Path Iconoclast is it's a good card, but man, like when you have the Monastery Swift Spear in there and you have that Thermal Alchemist or whatever, the guy that gets trample and gets a 1/1 counter every time you cast an instant or sorcery spell. We have those 2 people in there. It's kind of like just overkill to have Third Path Iconoclast. It's like win more condition. So I'm not sure how much I like it in that deck. I feel like its strength would come in more of an artifact base where artifact matters kind of deck. But that's what I kind of discovered about that card. And I have no wild cards left. So I can't even build the really good Azorius Soldiers deck that's out. But I also want to break Transmogran's Crown. I really want to break that card. It's like the Skull Clamp Light, you know?
Yeah.
And I know there's a way with the Oni Cult Anvil. I just don't have the wild cards to test things. So maybe I'll take that to Moto and test that out on Moto.
Yes.
Where I can test any card I want to. Silly. Wild cards are silly. Anyway, that was my experience with brewing in Brothers War. You guys been messing with any cards?
I'd really like it if they added a mode that like maybe it didn't count towards anything, but like where you could like play test or something.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get any experience for it. You don't get any, like you get nothing.
Yeah. It's
all.
like playing against Sparky, but Sparky can get harder. You can change the difficulty level of Sparky.
Where you could like use any card that's in Arena and test things, against.
But you know why they don't do that.
Bacon grease?
Yes, that's always the answer.
Always the bacon grease.
Well, we're greasing their palms with our brewing. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Other than buffing my Explorer deck with the Swiss Spears, I haven't really done any brewing with Brothers War.
I do have 4 Fires of Invention already.
Ding ding.
Because I used to play that deck when it was in Standard.
So get Karuga.
But I don't have the Phyrexian Portal, and I also have no wild cards. So
dang. So can you trade me your Fires of Invention so that
I wish.
No, you definitely can't.
You cannot.
Because I have the portals.
I've got plenty of wild cards.
They're just not the rare variety?
No, actually, I'd have to look it up. I've got like 9 rares.
That's not enough.
You know what?
I have 10 and it's not enough.
Oh, well, then you actually have wild cards. You're just lying.
But you can't build a deck out of that with new cards.
Yeah.
Like that soldier deck, I think, takes 17 rares that I don't have.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what you could do? You can just buy several of the 4 rares for $10. Huh?
Sure.
Huh?
Spend $250 on a 50-cent rare. Yeah. Sounds like a great idea.
I'm sure Wizards thinks it's an amazing idea. Anyways, as I was saying, been playing some limited here and there. So I do dig the Brothers War Limited environment. I think it's
with the retro artifacts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I brewed this run deck that I was drafting, and there was a liquid metal coating, and I passed it up, right? And then, but also I took, like, whenever there's a disenchant or a destroy target artifact, so went ahead and took that because there's going to be a lot of artifacts in this set. That's good removal. So I put together this red-white deck that played really good for the most part.
What if you had a liquid metal coating?
Yeah, well, that's the one thing that I ran into is like the green. There's a green deck running around that doesn't really use any artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
That one's rough to beat because I didn't get enough non-artifact removal to successfully handle a lot of the green threats. So having that liquid metal coating would have been chef's kiss. So
I tell you what, also with that, the new, what'd you call it? The artifacts?
Retro artifacts?
Retros.
Yeah. What's really been annoying me in Historic now is that Goblin Charbelcher deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard about it and how toxic it is. I haven't played Historic to really find out.
So it's kind of like, do I have a Thoughtseize in my hand or not?
Yep.
If I have the Thoughtseize, I'm probably going to win. And if I don't have the Thoughtseize, I'm probably going to lose. Because it's get to 4 mana and win is what it is. Like if you have no disruption.
I bet that Charbelcher deck's really fun to play.
It probably is.
On Arena.
Does it have that one card that reorders your deck?
No, they don't need it. They don't run any basic lands. They don't run any. They run no lands at all. It's all.
Well, yeah.
It's all the spell lands from what was that? Zendikar.
It's Recross the Pass. I think that's what it's called.
It's all the lands from Zendikar. The one red spell that makes a treasure token, and Ironcrag Feet and Charbelchers. Pretty sure that's the only thing that's in it.
So in the modern Charbelcher, this wouldn't be in there because it's a Morning Tide card. It's not legal it's not on Arena. But yeah, the Recross the Pass lets you reorder your deck like it does the same thing Charbelcher does, but it lets you put them back in any order. And then so you organize your draws so that when you play your draw card spells, you get all your things immediately and then win all your pieces. So it makes the Charbelcher deck like super consistent.
Yeah.
So it's not such a glass cannon like, oh, I didn't draw a card Charbelcher, I lose. This makes it so that you win. But but
it's kind of just an annoying deck. It's not like it's totally beatable, and if it was best of 3, you would beat it every time. But again, best of 3 just takes too long to play. So like in best of 1, it's kind of like, did you disrupt it or no?
Yeah. Were you prepared for this?
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about best of 1, and I think that there's a place for it, but it's not the way I like to play Magic. You know what I mean?
In general, I would agree with you. At least in one-on-one Magic.
Yeah.
I think best of 3 is the best version of Magic. Even if you subtract the sideboard, I still think best of 3 is the best version of Magic. But the sideboard is important, and that's what makes it more interesting. But also just like in terms of playing on Arena and getting your shit done every week, best of one is the most effective.
Exactly. I find it really interesting. There's a different meta for best of one and best of three.
Yeah. I mean, it's been that way forever, for as long as I can remember, because even back when it was like, when Arena was getting big, what was the card? The take an extra turn card.
Yeah,
where they were like, this is okay in best of three, but in best of one, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's I prefer playing best of two, but I will play best of one if I'm just trying to get my dailies done, or if I'm like just got a fresh brew that I'm like, I'm not sure how this is going to perform. I haven't built the sideboard yet, but
best of three is just too time consuming for what Arena is.
Yeah, you're right. It is. I do think that is that Invoke to Spare deck more of a best of one type thing? Because I think this is just my experience, but I think I play against it more when I do best of one than when I play best of three.
It seems pretty well suited for best of three. Like, it's got a pretty decent sideboard, and it seems well equipped to deal with things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's okay in best of three.
I mean, it's still a good deck.
Yeah.
I just think maybe there's more higher percentage of people who play best of one with that deck than there's probably more varied in best of three. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
well,
there's certain decks that don't do well in best of one that wouldn't be played as much.
Also, typically the people who are playing best of one are the people who are just trying to get their shit done. So
that's true.
I think you see a lot more of the things that are kind of quick and to the point than you do in best of three. You know, you hardly ever see control in best of one. Because who wants to play a really long match in best of one?
People that like to see people rage quit. They get their wins like that.
Well, I mean, that's fair.
It is a win con. I mean,
I am getting somewhat tired. At least here recently, it seems like I played against a lot of people who just exit the game and don't concede.
Oh, yeah, and you have to watch the rope. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's been getting somewhat frustrating.
I've run into that a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
less than best of three.
I understand it, kind of, when I'm playing that red black deck and you have no hand in like turn three.
Mm-hmm.
I get quitting out in frustration, but concede, so I don't have to sit there and stare at a rope for 3 minutes.
They're like, I'm going to punish you. You've controlled them out, and they have to find some way to control you.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I give people the benefit of the doubt too much.
I just like to be a good competitor, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't like to do, like I said, but I think it was last podcast, the only time I have ever been toxic to someone is that time that I roped the guy who was spamming your go before I had even drawn my card for the turn. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
But his action is probably a result of people roping, right? Like, he's like,
possible.
go on. I'm tired of sitting through these ropes.
You know me, and anyone who's played Magic with me knows, like, my pet peeve is people taking too long.
Yeah.
Like, like, I am constantly game planning. I am constantly thinking about what you could be playing. And so when my turn comes around, I'm usually have a pretty good idea of where I'm going already.
Yeah, your turns go pretty quick. Yeah.
And then playing against people who take a frustratingly long amount of time to make the most simple of plays, I'm just like, dude, come on. Like,
yeah.
And so I try to be cognizant of that, take my turns quickly and not leave people in the lurch. And then this, that one dude, man, he started your go and me as soon as I drew the card. And I was like, this match is going to take a long time. So
yeah.
I roped to the max. That match probably took like 35 minutes.
Well, hopefully he changes his behavior.
Unlikely.
I will say that when I'm brewing something and playing a fresh deck, sometimes I take a little bit to figure out what's going on. But the more I play it, you get comfortable with the deck, and
that's understandable because I'm the same way. Like, the first few times playing a deck, I'll take my time, I take it slow, try to figure out what the best routes are, and sometimes if I'm playing a more convoluted deck, it takes more time too.
Yeah. I'm like Caramon from Dragonlance. I'm not dumb. I just look at every single angle before I make a move.
Right.
And that's only when I'm first learning a deck, or I just brewed something or whatever.
It's a pretty sick nerdy reference there, man.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, hey, those books are great.
They are.
Well, I think we've run our course. Let's wrap this podcast up. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find us, Ben?
You can find us on Twitter at MPG Pod. You can find us on Twitch at Magic Proving Grounds. Schedule's posted there. You can see when we stream. Stop by, say hi. What else? My Twitter is at BeNiceMPG. And where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on the Twitters at Dave_MPG. And where can they find you, other Dave?
They can't find me anywhere because I am not an Elon Musk stan like the two of you with Twitter accounts.
Okay, so if I do the hyper nerdy thing and get a Mastodon account, will you join Mastodon? And
the metal band?
The open source Twitter clone.
Nah, I'll wait for Mock's Twitter field.
See, that's what honestly, that's what I'm waiting for, is the Mox field thing. Well, that's it, guys. See you next week or something. I'm a sucker for good cornbread stuffing.
Yeah, that's the way we, like I said, bake the cornbread, let it sit out and dry, get nice and crispy, put some sausage in it, some little bit of chicken stock when you're cooking it.
Delicious.
What kind of sausage? Like a sage sausage? Or
yep.
Like breakfast sausage?
Yep, breakfast sausage.
I'm on. Can I just make stovetop and put that in there? You think that'd work?
I bet it would.
Because I ain't trying to do no like real stuffing.
I also recommend when you make the stovetop, instead of putting in the water like it says, put 50% water, 50% chicken stock.
That's usually what I do. I don't think my kids made the stuffing this year. I don't think they did that, but it was still delicious.
Heathens.
Yeah, but let me tell you my concoction. You get butter and garlic, and then you do about 66% that, and then the other 33% you put bacon grease in, and you mix it up real good, and you inject that into your turkey.
You have to. I assume you have to melt the bacon grease first.
Yeah. I mean, you got to make sure it's going to go through the syringe. Mine was fine; it was room temperature. And then you slather more bacon grease all on the outside of the bird.
Do you do like my grandparents did? And do you just have like a cup on the stove that's full of old bacon grease that you just spoon out of every once in a while?
No, but when I cooked bacon like 2 days before, I was like, I'm going to save this grease just like those old cups.
Yeah, it's always my memory of my grandparents' house is that there was just a cup, like a coffee cup, on the stove that was just filled with bacon grease, and whenever they would just spoon some out and throw it in the pan every time they cooked.
Delicious.
And throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Oh man, it's so good.
It is good, but it's also probably why my grandparents weighed 300 pounds.
Yeah, it's not healthy. I did not cook a healthy bird, but it was delicious.